Hello, everyone, and welcome to Battle 150. No, God, I butchered that intro. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new video on my channel. I'm Adam, and this is Battle of the Beast All Generation, episode number 148. There we go, that's the intro I need. As I said, my name is Adam, and this is the third battle of round 5, otherwise known as the quarterfinals. We're now down to 8 beasts left, with 3 more to die for this round. And we got two of the remaining 6 to battle are about to go against each other to see who will come out on top. And this is an interesting one actually, because it's the battle of former allies. How sweet that's going to come to an end for one of them. The thing is though, I love both of these beasts to the point where both of them are in my top 10, so it's hard to really be biased here, but I do kind of see a good winning fight for both of them, but whichever one I give them, I don't know. But anyway, let's introduce them. Representing Series 7, The Lost World. Uh, Best known for outstanding victories from the likes of. Hold on. Best known for outstanding victories from the likes of Morax and Grashgor, with some rather easy victories being Nanook and Merca. But let's just say he kept his head in the game and used his head a lot when it came to fights. He is not afraid to let it rain, the burning liquid that is otherwise known as acid. And despite not being made for land, he does a very good job at being able to do great on the land. So yes, this is a water beast, and despite not being having most of his battles on land rather than water, it's fair to say that he's definitely earned a spot here. More so, I expected him to be here. He was a runner-up of the Old Generation tournament. I am, of course, talking about Krestor, the Crushing Terror, versus his opponent, also from Series 7, The Lost World. We already know who she is because the other Series 7 beasts already fought in this round, but this one has stood out as one who has taken down Amictus as the premier battle of this series, has taken down the likes of Lustor and Menix with almost ease, and then had a very close call against not just Ospera, but Gargantua in round 4. She was the killer of the Gargantua arc of the series. Will she be able to continue onwards from that heroic victory to try and progress further into the tournament to get back where she was in the Old Generation tournament, being a semi-finalist from that tournament? It is Carnivora, the Winged Scavenger. So a battle of teammates here. I do not think that my rule that I implemented in the summary video will be immediately used in this round, being that the teams are off. These guys are out for themselves, and now they're going to need to fight. Now, before I get into this, I will say I have received a bit of criticism from my previous 2 fights that there was a bit too much talking going on. And whilst I'm going to continue doing the talking, I'm not going to go into detail for it. But I thought the talking, especially for the Mortax versus Ferric fight, it was more necessary because these beasts were predicted by, I can imagine, a fair amount of people to make it into the finals. So for them to go at it in the quarterfinals, I wanted to make it as grand as possible. And whilst Lucas personally doesn't believe that Ferric got the right justice he deserved, ultimately, though, with any question that he had regarding the fight, I was able to justify. And whilst he may not see it as a justice for Ferric, personally, I do. And he did great to make it this far. Both of them did. But personally, the fight's what it is, and I'm happy with it, actually. And at this point, I like to try and make every fight seem worth it. And yeah, a bit too much talking. I would agree with that. But I would say it was done well. So I personally don't have a problem with that fight. But anyway, moving on to this fight, the Krestor versus Carnivora fight. Now, we know a lot about these beasts, being the fact that these two beasts were the last beast standing of the old generation tournament for Series 7. One making it to the semi-finals, and one making it to the finals. Now that one of them's going to miss out on the semi-finals? Well, this is interesting. But let's find out more about these beasts. So, let's get to the stats. This beast has the neck of a serpent coated in green scales with powerful legs and webbed claws that propel him through the water. Krestor's red eyes can search out prey in the gloomiest depths. The beast's snaking claws can squeeze the life out of his victims. His other deadly weapons are the jagged spines along his back. They can shoot acid strong enough to melt flesh and bone. Age 313, power 240, magic level 167, fright factor 83, size 373. Powers and abilities: natural weaponry, webbed feet, underwater breathing, acid manipulation, enhanced durability, constriction, and limited camouflage. Weaknesses is the land movement limit. And now moving on to Carnivora, the winged scavenger. Carnivora is like a hyena, but much larger, with jagged teeth and wicked yellow eyes that seem to ooze pus. Even on land, she would be terrifying, but she can also fly. Carnivora's most lethal weapon is her fiery breath. Age 293, power 250, magic level 180, fright factor 86, size 262. Powers and abilities: heat breath, flight, enhanced durability, enhanced agility, natural weaponry, thick hide, cold resistance, and mixture with acid manipulation. Carnivora can mix her boiling breath with Krestor's acid to create an explosion. That's why I was excited for the fight. Weaknesses is pierceable hide. So with these two beasts, quite frankly, I adore both these beasts, and the fact that they have an ability to create a giant explosion together, well, let's just say this can be an explosive fight then. So with that, the battlefield is going to be... What do I want? Do I want to do this, or do I want to do that? I think it would be fair. Yeah, it will be fair. Because Krestor has had the unfortunate time of only battling on land, except for his round 2 fight against Merca and maybe his round 1 fight, I'm going to give him a break and actually say that the battlefield is going to be the clock arena from the Hunger Games. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, yes, if Carnivora can fly, then I think Krestor should have access to the water. So that way it's kind of making both of these beasts feel like they have an advantage in one way or another. But with that, Krestor versus Carnivora. Let's get into this. So as we open up onto the combat arena, showing the iconic clock arena from the Hunger Games Catching Fire. As the chamber doors open, Carnivora bursts out through the sky exit, lands on the perch, and roars into the arena. The spectators from the other side of the arena are hearing it clear as day, looking at this majestic beast just roaring into the arena, and then glaring down at the watery depths below. With 12 spokes going around the entire arena, coming up to meet in the center is an island made of rock. Not the beast rock. And as everyone looks towards the arena, some people, along with Carnivora, see a silhouette exit from the opposite side of the arena, almost making their way around very quickly, effortlessly rather, to the point, and they don't even know what this is. It's a beast with a long neck, webbed claws which seem to be dragging them along the water almost effortlessly, and a long tail to follow suit. Wow. The spectators are surprised by the astounding size of this beast. And as Krestor emerges from the water, he roars into the arena and stares directly at Carnivora. The following conversation ensues. From Carnivora: This is your last chance. This is your last chance. We are teammates. Well, we were. And you know I am in charge of all of us. I led us to battle in Tavania. I don't care if you are a former runner-up, but you should respect me and let me just win. Forfeit now, and you can save your life. Krestor responds back saying, I do have a lot of respect for you, but the thing is, though, I am a former runner-up. You may have the expectations of being the best, strongest beast, quote unquote, in Tavania, but we're in the combat arena now. These spectators here know that I'm a former runner-up, and I got to show them that not all the runner-ups are going to die before the semi-finals. So for that, you need to earn your victory against me. So with that, let's get into the battle. Carnivora immediately jumps off the perch and takes up to the air and breathes her hot breath over Krestor. Krestor gets hit by it and feels his scales starting to burn where he dives under the water, causing a big splash to reach up to Carnivora. Carnivora backs away from it. Krestor then goes a little bit out of the water but bends his head back down and shoots acid from the back of his neck from the bits that are out of the water up towards Carnivora. Carnivora sees that and breathes her hot breath over the acid, which causes a chain reaction explosion, which explodes right in front of Carnivora, knocking her back a bit and just blowing up the entire chain reaction of acid until it got to the back of Krestor's neck, where it explodes point blank at his neck. He juts his head out of the water, roars in pain from this, and dives back under the water. Carnivora gets down to the island and just stays there, closing her eyes, sensing any movement from underneath her. She hears water rippling from the left of her, where she turns her head, but then the water rippling is coming from the right side of her. She turns her head again, and the rippling is still working her way around it, where she's moving, keep turning in the direction of the rippling. She opens her eyes to try and see it, but the rippling is coming from all directions of her. She is completely disorientated by being in the center. She decides that it might be best to take up to the sky. However, right when she's about to do this, Krestor bursts through the base of the island, blowing the island up, especially, knocking Carnivora back, where she just lands in the water next to a spoke. She swims up to the spoke and gets out of the water, just to see Krestor diving back down, coming up right up to her, knocking the spoke side to side just to get to her, breaking it apart. Carnivora takes up to the sky right as Krestor jumps out of the water and tries to reach for her, but misses with his claws, but grabs onto her rear leg with his mouth. Carnivora roars in pain as she bows her head down and breathes hot breath directly into Carnivora's face. Carnivora is wincing in pain from this and keeping his eyes closed as he feels his eyes starting to burn through his eyelids from the breath. He continues to go downwards as gravity is pulling him down. Bringing Carnivora with him, he withstands the breath long enough before they both get submerged underwater, and Krestor opens his eyes again to be greeted by the watery feel of the depths below. Carnivora, with her mouth now closed, keeping in as much air as she can, lifts up a claw and slashes at Krestor, one of Krestor's eyes. Krestor roars in pain, letting Carnivora get away, where Carnivora gets up to the surface and tries to take off with her wings a bit weakly due to being soaking wet. But as they're not bug-like wings, still workable. Krestor pokes his head out the water again and roars at Carnivora as Carnivora is able to get to a perch on top of the arena and stares back down at Krestor. Krestor dives back down in the water and starts swimming around to the point, breaking each spoke, drowning all the land there. Krestor then pokes his head out of the water and they're like, there, you have no land to come on now. You have to come down to me eventually. Your heat breath isn't going to kill me. It's not going to evaporate my water. You need to get up close to kill me. And you're not going to win this one. Carnivora, realizing that he's right, decides to continue firing the heat breath directly at Krestor, as Krestor just dives under the water, just waiting patiently for Carnivora to get close. Carnivora knows that she needs to get close just for Krestor to even come out of the water now. So she comes down very carefully with her wings, just waiting for Krestor to come up. She's looking below her, behind her, everywhere, trying to see the silhouette of Krestor from emerging. After what seems like hours, well, minutes rather, sorry, not hours, she thinks that Krestor is gone, can't see him whatsoever. So Carnivora is about to make her way back to her chamber, thinking that okay, Krestor's forfeit, when she hears the water rippling quite violently behind her, in which she darts forward just in time for Krestor to leap out of the water and snap at the place where Carnivora was. Carnivora turns round and instantly darts up towards Krestor, slashing, hit the side of his neck as she comes back around for another slash as Krestor turns around again and goes to bite down onto Carnivora as Carnivora greets him with a heat breath and then slashes underneath Krestor's neck. Krestor roars in pain and starts splashing violently, causing Carnivora to get soaking wet and feels herself weighed down, where Krestor then comes up to her, lifts up his claw and slashes Carnivora, knocking her down into the water. Krestor then swims up to Carnivora, and then uses his claws, tears at Carnivora's wings and tearing the feathers off. Carnivora is roaring in pain, barely keeping herself afloat, not being able to find any land to go on. Krestor then says, "You're in my world now. Now let's go down for a dive, shall we? You're not coming back from this one, though." Krestor dives down and using his tail brings Carnivora down as well, wrapping Carnivora up in his tail. As they go down deeper and deeper, Krestor eventually brings Carnivora to his eye level and just watches as Carnivora is struggling to break free, using her free claw to slash at Krestor's tail. Krestor is wincing in pain from this, but is just withstanding it. Eventually, Carnivora is able to bend her head far enough forward and bite down on Krestor's tail. Krestor roars in pain under the water, loosening his grip for Carnivora to get away as quick as she can, with as much strength as she can. Krestor, when he regains himself, charges back up to Carnivora and bites down onto her rear leg, the one that he already bit down on. Carnivora roars in pain, letting out any free oxygen that she had left, and Krestor pulls her down to the bottom of the water below, and just using his tail, wraps it around Carnivora's neck and continues to squeeze it tightly as he releases his grip off her leg with his mouth. He's just strangling Carnivora underwater with his tail. The last thing Carnivora hears is Krestor saying, "Not to worry. Whilst I have ended the beast I respect most, I will win this tournament for not only me, but for you and the glory of Tavania." Carnivora hears this echo through her mind as that is the last words that she'll ever hear. As her life drains from her eyes, whether it's from strangulation or drowning, Carnivora has lost all her oxygen, and Krestor lets go of Carnivora's body as it floats up to the top of the surface for the spectators to see the drowned hyena. Krestor makes his way back to his chamber, not bothering to show himself to the spectators, because ultimately, whilst he's thrilled or happy to make it to the next round, he couldn't bear to show himself to the spectators and see the body of the beast that he ended, that was his former ally. So that Krestor's won, Carnivora's lost. If you think Carnivora should won, please think comments below. You think that how my words final and Krestor's moving on to the next round. Right, with this, okay, as much as I love this matchup, don't get me wrong, and I prefer Carnivora more than Krestor, there's simply no way I could see Carnivora winning this battle as much as Krestor can. Yeah, the explosion, would damage Krestor, and it seemed like Carnivora had the upper hand. But ultimately, though, Krestor being a non-stop fighter, and as I established in the old generation tournament, does have some brains in him. If he eliminates the land, Carnivora doesn't have anything to lean on when she loses her not flying. So with that kind of hindered her. So yeah. Not to mention the fact that as soon as Carnivora is in the water, unless she can get out, it's game, set, match. And when Krestor broke Carnivora's wing, that was when Carnivora was going to lose. And I didn't want to make Carnivora go down easily, obviously, because I do have respect for this beast. And I like to think I gave her justice, really. And I decided to end it in a way where Krestor didn't even show his face, like show the spectators that he is the winner, he is the one that vanquished this beast. No, I couldn't do that. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, whilst these beasts are fictional and the personality I give them is my creation alone, ultimately, I did establish in the rules at the start of this tournament that these two beasts were allies, as well as any other beast from the Lost World and any beast from previous other seasons. Their allies are from the same season as them. So I think it's fair that Krestor didn't bother to celebrate his victory because at the end of the day he murdered his ally to progress further in the tournament. And yeah, the last words he said, vowing to win for Carnivora and the rest of Talvania. So yeah, I did it the best way I could, where it keeps a bit of honor in Krestor, but also the familiarity between these two teammates. I didn't want to make it seem like it's a violence battle, because yes, it was kind of violent, but I wanted it to be a different taste, and I'm hoping this actually ended up alright. Unless Krestor gets unlucky and gets paired up against Elic in the next round. This is probably the only time we're seeing allies fight each other. And except the old generation tournament in the first round. Okay, that was before we established that rule. But with this is probably the only time at the moment that we'll see beasts from the same series fight each other. And I wanted to give it some honor. And I think I did. So that's all for this time. If you enjoyed this battle, because I did, leave a like, leave a comment, don't forget to subscribe, press the notification bell down in the corner below, and I'll see you next time.